Hello everybody, it's Caitlin here. Today I'm trying out a new recipe with some new additives, and I thought I would bring you along with me to kind of experiment. And also I'm using a different mold than usual. It's more of a standard mold and less of a tall and skinny. So I have in this large pitcher here olive oil, palm oil, coconut oil, mango butter, and grapeseed oil. And then in here, I have my lye solution, which consists of 1% of my oil weight in sugar, and then 1% of citric acid, and then obviously water and lye. This is at a 33% lye concentration. So it's like a water discount. Because I like my bars to be able to mold later that day or the next morning. So, here we go. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to check the temperatures, just because normally I do the heat transfer method, and today I'm not. So my lye solution is at 146, and my oils are at 125-ish. So I'm going to go ahead and add them anyways, because I'm not doing any swirls or anything. So here we go. Move that over there. And I'm going to slowly just let these combine. This is my first time using citric acid in soap, and it helps to make the soap not go rancid if you have a lot of like hard water and like metals and stuff in your soap. So I'm going to go ahead and do a light stick blending. And I'm shaking my phone, I know. And the sugar adds bubbles. So it makes a bubbly bar of soap, so I figured, hey, why not? I actually used powdered sugar so that it would dissolve a little quicker. And I just used my citric acid that I had for like my bath bombs and other stuff that I really don't make, but I bought it in hopes that I would be making more bath bombs, but I just don't. I do make shower steamers with it though. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this off to the side. All right, let's check. So temperature is 132. So that's not too bad. It's definitely warmer than room temperature, depending on where your room is. If it's in the middle of the summer down south, I would assume if you didn't have AC, it would be somewhat that hot. But in Ohio, that is that temperature does not exist. So in this little bowl here, I have a mixture of 5 different essential oils, and I'm kind of experimenting too with blends of essential oils, using top notes, middle notes, base notes, and kind of using a chart to determine how I want to balance out my essential oils. So this is lavender, which is a lot like lavender. It's a middle note, and I'm using it at 50%. Then I have my other middle note is geranium, and that's 20%. And then I have peppermint, which is my top note, and that's 20%. And then I have patchouli at 5% and vanilla at 5%. The total amount of essential oils that I'm using in my batch size is 1 ounce, so it made it really easy to do the math on that one. And then this is sea clay in here. So I'm going to go ahead and add my essential oil mixture and my seed clay. All right, I think that's good enough. And I'm going to hand stir this. I didn't want the soap to be just white. I wanted a little bit of something else in there. And this is thickening up quickly because I am soaping quite warm. And that is okay as long as it doesn't get too quick, too thick, too quick, and I can't pour it. So I'm just kind of going in there, cleaning up the edges. So here we go. I believe I made too big of a batch for how high I wanted these bars to be, but we'll see. Because this mold is 4 inches tall and like a little less than 3.5 inches wide. And I just used a recipe that I already had printed out instead of resizing it. And I could have poured these into another mold, but I think it should be fine. This is full of air bubbles. Oh, it's very full of air bubbles. So I used, get out a pen and paper, I used 30% olive oil, 30% palm oil, 25% coconut oil, 10% mango butter, and then I used 5% grapeseed oil, and then I used a 6% superfat, and then it superfatted a little bit more from the citric acid. Trying to get it to like lay over the center, and it's being a little sassy. I think it's just getting a little too thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of some lavender to this. Kind of right in the center. And then I'm going to add a little bit of blue corn flour from Soma Sundries, just because I really like the color and I've been wanting to use it and I haven't had a soap to use it on yet, and I really want to use it. So I'm going to go more along this side with it, just to kind of liven up the soap a little bit. Actually, you know what? I could go with my safflower here. It's more of an orange. Let me see if I like it. Do I like it? No, I don't. So I'm going to take those off, and I'm just going to leave it basic with the purpley blue look on top. So here it is. I don't know what it's called yet. It should have a name when I put it, well, when I post it, hopefully. Alrighty. I will bring you back for the cut Okay, so it's later on that night. Here is the soap, and you can see how it kind of sweat a little bit in the paper. There's the top. And I'm going to cut it on its side so that it doesn't leave drag marks. And I'll cut a little slither off of this side. There it is. There are a little bit of air pockets in it, just from how thick it was when I poured it. But you could see the little flecks in there from the sea clay. I was kind of hoping that it would be more of a light green color, but I really should have used my French green clay for that, and probably a little bit more but this came out smelling really nice. These bars are a little chunkier than my usual bars, like a little bit, like the dimensions are larger than my usual bars. And I drug a little bit. That's okay. And you can see the air bubbles, those little, it appears to be white, but it's actually just air pockets stuck in there. You could also, if you wanted to, cut it on the opposite side. So I could just push it all the way up to here, line it up, and then there shouldn't be any drag marks. Very minimal, just from the additives on the inside. And my soap cutter clearly cuts at a slight angle because when I cut it, it gets a little thicker here than it does here when I turned it. So that's interesting. Yeah, but they're all looking the same. I will probably plane and bevel these so they're a little smoother, depending on what the planer does with those additives on the inside, because I don't want it to just scratch it even more. And I could have waited until tomorrow to cut this, and that probably would have helped. Because it is later on that day. It's probably like 8 hours later. But it was firmed up. It completely gelled. So I wanted to just get it cut because I'm impatient. There's no other reason. It's not necessary for me to cut it this soon. I just wanted to. So there's that. And the soap mold that I used was a soap mold that my brother made out of scrap wood from wood pallets. And he made it for my sister when she was making soap. And she's actually the one to introduce me to soap making. So shout out to my brother Matt and my sister Mandy. I'm the youngest of 7 kids, so there's a lot of siblings. And this is going to be a really good sample. And I might cut these in half to make, you know, little smaller sample sizes. I'm not sure yet. Okay, so I planed it and it came out pretty good. Not a lot of drag marks. So I'm going to go ahead and bevel. And I'm going to go ahead and just bevel the bottom right here too, I guess. And the top right here, just for funsies. There it is. I still don't know what I'm going to call it, but here it is. You know what? Let me go ahead and get my stamp out and see if it'll fit on here. It might not, but it might. So let me check. It does not fit. It's too long of a stamp. I could have stamped it like long ways here, but I didn't want to do that. I like to do it on the side. So I don't know. But it looks like there's fingerprints, but that's literally my fingerprint through the glove, touching the soap, if you can see that shine there. But that's just from my gloved hands rubbing the bar when I planed it after, or when I beveled it after I planed it. But I will be wiping that off with probably like a little bit of alcohol in a paper towel, just to smooth off my fingerprints after it sits and cures for a little bit. I got this planer on Amazon a couple years ago, and I'm using a like razor thing here, and I just, between every bar, I wipe it off. That way there's no sticky drag marks, especially when you plane it so soon after cutting. It's a little bit more tacky. So that's how I do that. And then I just kind of move it along here. And the soap's actually warm to the touch still. You can see how smooth it got. You don't see any drag marks. And then we'll do the bottom. And then I'm just doing the bottom and sides to get those little bubbly dots off, because I didn't like the texture that it gave it. But here is it without it being beveled, which it still looks like a really nice bar. It just gets, once it cures, this edge gets really crispy, really sharp, and it's not too comfy. I don't know if I already did that side, but anyways, there it is. Alrighty guys, I will get going here and I'll finish up all these bars, put them on my curing rack for 4 to 6 weeks, and I will catch you in my next video. Thank you for watching.